Like when people come to taste at the tasting room on the vineyard, like it is our number one bestseller every month.
How do you begin to explain all of your offers?
I think it's a narrative, and it goes back to the beginning where there were no vineyards in Ballard Canyon, and Dad and Jeff had to take educated guesses on what to plant, and also based on what they sensed the world wanted. So the initial planning was Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Syrah, and again, Manfred Krenkel of Sinequinon, like the only true cult winery in I would say, in the entire Central Coast. That Syrah and the Rhone varietals, that was the cornerstone of early Sinequinon. He only had 4 or 5 real steady source vineyards. Before then, he bought land and planted his own vineyards. So Syrah knocked it out of the park. It loves getting beat up by the wind. It was raised for millennia in the northern Rhone wind tunnel. It has a hardy leaf. It has thick stomata. It likes to get beat up. If you spoil Syrah, if you plant it in a fertile, hot area, you get that Shirazzi profile. It's ripe and candied, but there's not much else. Like you really need to make Syrah fight to get a dynamic wine. So from that, then we expanded on the Rhone family: Grenache, Mourvedre, Roussanne, Viognier. Dad even planted a little Counois and Carignan. We don't have those anymore. So Dad originally planted 18 varietals, including all 5 Bordeaux varietals. Because when you don't have weather data and you're out on the vineyard all day, as a human, you feel hot. And we can plant Bordeaux, but you don't realize the wind is already cooling the vines down. The leaves are, going crazy in the wind. The vines aren't hot. And then it's going to drop 40 degrees and the whole vineyard gets refreshed. We could probably make a very Chinon style Cabernet Franc today that would be accepted by the sommelier community. But at the time in the 90s, we quickly realized we're much better suited for the Rhone varietals. And then Dad was just a madman, right? Like who buys a 218-acre ranch with a plan to plant 152 acres in 10 years? And 20 of those are going to be Italian. So Dad had actually spent a lot of time in Italy. We're Catholic, and he was suing the Pope. And he had good Catholic, and long story, but he had fallen in love, even deeper love, with Barolo and Tuscany and Montalcino everywhere, and just demanded, I don't care about the market, let's plant Nebbiolo and Sangiovese, 10 acres and 10 acres. And so that was the original set, right? We had a beautiful Roussanne, a couple Syrahs, Sangiovese, and then Grenache happened a little bit later. And then the really interesting thing, pretty much all along since we began our tasting room or wine club, the Sangiovese has been the hit. Like when people come to taste at the tasting room on the vineyard, like it is our number one bestseller every month, no matter what we're releasing that month. Yet we don't distribute it anywhere outside of California. So it's just that weird thing where the wholesale markets, the powers that be, the critics, they poo-poo Italian varietals made in California, yet French varietals are somehow okay. We're not making even Cornas style Syrah, yet it's okay to make a classic Californian Syrah. Yet we're not making Brunello di Montalcino, it's a Californian style Sangiovese. But yet the Syrah is accepted anywhere in New York or Boston, but then, you show them the Sangiovese. Why would you do this? So I live like dual lives on many fronts. I don't show the Sangiovese when I go to New York, yet the tasting room would be much less profitable if you didn't make that wine. So like we're so proud of it when I'm in Los Olivos, but then I don't even mention it when I go to New York. Um, and then the other really cool wine that we've had all along is La Quadrilla. And it's something that I'm very proud that I could really accelerate. La Quadrilla is our profit sharing wine with our crew. So Dad, from day one, sort of my dream of starting this vineyard is to become a reality. I wanted to positively affect anybody involved. And that meant no migrant labor. He wanted to employ full time. And Ruben was all for it. Ruben had jumped the fence and was a vineyard worker in the beginning, and he would have appreciated stability. Instead, he was looking for, where am I going to work tomorrow constantly, until he linked up with Jeff. Mm-hmm. And Ruben knew that if he could promise people a career at Stolpman rather than 1 week or 2 weeks of work, he would get the best people. And once we initially planted, then Ruben began giving the crew their own quadra, their own block that they owned. And the goal was to get them to be more proactive, really thinking like the farmer, not the worker, and to take pride in their quadra, in their block. And when Ruben told my dad about it, my dad's like, this is too good to be true, because the one thing I love hanging out, watching Pete play with the children of La Quadrilla, and just loved the family vibe of the vineyard, and that everybody was so proud to work there, but nobody drank wine. So when Ruben told my dad about his grand experiment to give immigrant workers their own vineyard block, but I said, we need to keep that wine separate and then give the wine back to them. And if they already take pride in what they're doing, how much pride are they going to take in their bottle of wine? And then
very well said. Very well said.
Yeah, and then they would get the money from the portion that we sold. So when I took over in 2009, had to dig out of the recession and went down to Jalisco to meet Ruben's entire family and all the extended families of my workers. And I was just struck by what a huge impact giving 15 people a good, steady career had on an entire community. And I just told Ruben, now that we're financially stable again, we need to do better. And we went back and reblended the 2009 vintage to add more wine to the Quadra block. So from 2009 forward, La Quadrilla is at least 10% of our total production, and all the profits go back to our vineyard workers. So we're up to 34 full-time workers.
Tell us your website, tell us your social media, tell us any way we can learn more about Stolpman and taste your wines.
Yeah, stolpmanvineyards.com. And then we both have Stolpman Vineyards and Stolpman So Fresh on Instagram. And please come and taste in Los Olivos, or email us if you're coming, if you want to check out the vineyard. Love to do, every month I do vineyard hikes, and throughout the year it's really fun to just show, talk about everything I'm talking about dry farming and about food thinning, and look at these tiny little clusters right now that are flowering, and pray that there's no major wind events in the next couple weeks. And it's just really cool to be out there and actually hike the hills and look at every different varietal and the way we train it, the way it naturally behaves. So come visit and buy the wine and love it, and buy more of it, and then I'll keep making it.